The story begins with a young Russian woman named Katya, who is at the foot of a mountain recording a video. She is showing the preparations for the trip she will take with her friend Vika, as it is New Year's Eve, and they want to celebrate the turn of the year at high altitudes. Along with them are three guys: Denis, who is Vika's boyfriend, a joker named Roman, and the grumpiest one in the group, named Kirill. The first leg of the adventure is a hike to the Overlook, a tourist service of suspended gondolas connecting the mountains. Despite the cold, everyone is excited, and Roman even carries a Christmas tree with him. Kirill doesn't like this at all and says they are already leaving late, telling everyone to pick up the pace. Ignoring his bad mood, the group stops at the top of the first hill to take a photo with Christmas decorations, and Katya receives a call from a friend named Masha, who is throwing a New Year's party. She only found out that Katya was ditching her by seeing her posts online and is shocked when she hears Katya say she is with her ex-boyfriend, Kirill. Masha thought they had ended their romance, but Katya explains that he has been behaving better and she didn't want to upset him just before the new year. We also discover that Katya is pregnant and has scheduled a medical appointment to terminate the pregnancy. Masha says that Kirill will understand that decision, but she replies that she prefers not to tell him anything. Seeing on the camera that he is right behind her, she quickly changes the subject and says goodbye to her friend. The resort is empty and all dark when the young people arrive, and the entrance hallway has a rather uninviting decoration. Vika explains that it is a kind of altar in honor of all those who died on the mountain under adverse conditions. The guys are not too shaken by this, and Roman even steals a hook from one of the sculptures, acting disrespectfully. Katya asks Kirill if they will let them board even being so late, and he gets irritated with the suspicion, saying he planned all this in detail a long time ago. However, this does not prevent the employee Ivan from stopping them because of the time, as the boarding platform closed half an hour ago. Kirill becomes furious about this and starts yelling threats at him until Denis separates the fight, trying a more subtle strategy. After a few minutes of negotiation, Ivan accepts the guy's bribe and lets the group enter the gondola. He explains that the mechanism is automatic, and thus they should not touch anything inside, besides keeping the doors tightly closed. At that moment, Kirill realizes that he left his backpack down below, and, even saying that there is nothing valuable inside it, he doesn't want to leave it to pick it up later. Ivan gets irritated with the confusion and threatens to kick the whole lot out, but Kirill refuses to board without the backpack, and everyone starts arguing with him. In an authoritative tone, he orders Katya to get out of the gondola, declaring that the couple's ride ends there, explaining that he promised his followers that he would make a video from the top of the mountain. Kirill responds with more rudeness, and she is shocked by such selfishness, warning that she will continue the trip without him. Roman tells Ivan to start the gears before the fight escalates, and Kirill ends up being left out, even sulkier than before. As the ride begins, Roman tries hard to rekindle the festive spirit and takes the opportunity to flirt with Katya, ignoring the girl's total lack of interest. Suddenly, the gondola stops with a strong jolt, and it goes completely dark both inside and on the mountain. Denis says it must have been a power outage, and that there is nothing to fear, as this is common, and the generator will solve the problem in a few moments. While Ivan descends to the basement with a flashlight, the young people gradually lose their optimism, as they have now been stopped for 15 minutes. It is then that Roman disobeys the instructions and opens the doors of the gondola to relieve himself. The others complain about the attitude, and Katya asks if he can't hold it, but he says it is bad for men's health. Unaware of this, Ivan starts the process of restarting everything, and the power begins to return to each sector, while Roman is still standing on the edge. The gondola begins to move again without warning, and he nearly tumbles off with the sudden jolt, only saved because Denis grabs him by his clothes. Shortly after this, he finds Kirill's backpack behind the Christmas tree and starts snooping through the contents, discovering a bottle of fine champagne. Katya feels upset to see that he was planning a romantic moment but becomes angry again when Denis calls to inform him, and he tells them to throw it in the trash. Roman continues rummaging through his friend's things and pulls out a parachute, laughing at Kirill's radical ambitions. Annoyed, Katya takes the backpack to put everything back in, and that is how she finds the engagement ring. She tries to call Kirill, but realizes that the gondola has reached a no-signal area, as Denis' call to his mother also drops. Still in the basement, Ivan leans over one of the machines, and his bunch of keys gets stuck in the gears, causing a serious accident, as well as a short circuit. This interferes with the generator, and the gondola shakes again, while the lights also begin to fail. Roman blames Kirill for all of this, accusing his friend of playing with the controls out of revenge. What the young people don't know is that Ivan has already succumbed to the tightness of the cord around his neck, and now they are abandoned to their own fate. There are only a few minutes left until midnight, and Kirill is already far away, arriving at a square full of festivities. When the fireworks show begins, he looks depressed and tries to call Katya, unsuccessfully. She is also sad, but composes herself to record the video and gradually lets herself be carried away by the joy of her friends, even drawing a smiley face on the fogged glass. Roman ruins this art, turning the drawing into a cry for help, and no one notices how much this joke holds the truth, as the window's humidity is already freezing from the outside. After several toasts, the young people fall asleep, and Katya dreams that firefighters came to save them, but then start attacking the gondola with pickaxes. It is already dawn when their screams wake Roman and Vika, who are startled to see that Denny is not with them in the gondola. Vika is already starting to panic when he opens the hatch on the ceiling and says he was looking around since it seems that no one will come to help them. At the same time, the overlook is approaching, where employees Natasha and Anya are complaining about always getting that shift, as if women couldn't party on New Year's. Up there, Roman calculates that they are about 100 meters off the ground, and Denise explains that no one is seeing the gondola stopped because the area is shrouded in fog. Trying to grab attention, Vika lights a flare in the window, but Denise tells her not to do that anymore. Natasha notices that the gondola is stuck in the middle of the cable and alerts the company, asking to send the technicians for repairs. However, without seeing that there are people inside, she doesn't care much when the attendant says it will be difficult to find someone on the holiday. Denis works as a firefighter, and so he knows where the emergency equipment should be, but no one can find the rope, and Katya says it is better to wait for Kirill to notice they are missing. At that moment, he is sleeping fully clothed in the bathtub after spending the night drowning his sorrows. The phone ringing wakes him up, and he becomes even more frustrated to see that it is his mother, eager to know how the marriage proposal went. In the afternoon, the stranded quartet lights a fire to ward off the cold, and Roman begins to curse the Overlook's negligence, especially as they are in the middle of the high season. We see that there is indeed a line of people wanting to use the gondola, but Natasha says that the platform is closed for renovations. To avoid the trouble of repeating this to each new customer, she puts a note on the door telling them to come back in 10 days. In the gondola, Vika finds the rope in the corner that Katya had checked and becomes very angry to discover that she pretended not to see it, out of fear of leaving hanging there. Roman also begins cursing her, but Denny asks everyone to calm down at least until they can get out of there. Kirill grows increasingly resentful for not knowing where Katya slept and sends a bitter message, saying that she may as well stay in that place. At the same time, the fights continue among the young people, as the idea is that only one of them should descend and seek help, but no one is willing to take on the challenge besides Denise, and Vika gets irritated with Roman's cowardice, even slapping him in the face. Dennis doesn't let him retaliate, and the two begin to punch each other on the gondola floor until Katya threatens to throw the rope down. After they make peace, she records a video explaining the drama, and Dennis ties himself to the rope, putting on a helmet with a camera. The other three begin to lower him carefully, and, to reduce the weight, he releases the equipment. As soon as his things hit the ground, the ice begins to crack, and a huge area collapses with a roar. Knowing that the rope barely reached 100 meters, Denny asks his friends to pull him back, aborting the mission. Unfortunately, he is already so far that no one hears him, and they continue unrolling the rope while he tries to pull it up, one undoing the work of the other. Denis tries to shorten the distance by doubling the rope, but it slips out of his hand and he falls completely, yanking everyone up hard. The knot on the other side can only hold for a few seconds, and the doorknob flies off, throwing Roman out of the hatch with the momentum. Also slipping, Katya falls with her arm right in the middle of the remaining rope, which ends up wrapping around it. This saves both guys for now, but now she has to bear the weight of both with just her right arm and screams in pain with every movement. When Denis manages to straighten himself on the rope, he is horrified to see Roman holding a knife, as he understands what is about to happen. Roman cuts the rope just below him to free himself of the extra weight and thus manages to rise up to the hatch, while Denise falls to his death. At the hotel, Kirill knocks on Denise's door before leaving, but he doesn't insist much and grabs a taxi to the airport. Roman justifies his attitude by saying that they all could have fallen if he hadn't acted otherwise, but Vika doesn't want to hear excuses and takes his knife, threatening to force him to go down again to save Denise. However, she begins to feel dizzy, and Katya realizes that her friend is hurt as the loose bar hit her leg in the confusion. With a belt, she and Roman improvise a tourniquet and try to keep Vika awake. Then Roman hears the sound of helicopter blades and runs to the roof, waving and shouting frantically. Vika is so unwell that she begins to talk to Denny as if they were at home, but Katya has to leave her to go get the flare. It is too late when she manages to light it and the helicopter flies away without seeing them. Roman becomes furious about this and takes his anger out on her, nearly knocking her off the top. She drops the other flare, which gets stuck in a corner, and now Roman cannot open the hatch again. The key to the side door is with Katya, and Roman wants her to attempt to open it from the outside, swearing that he will hold her tight. She peeks over the edge and sees that it is madness to do this, but now Roman is determined to force her, saying that all of this is her fault. As he approaches with the knife in hand, she grabs the dropped flare and ignites it, pointing the sparks at him and telling him to back off. He only obeys because he knows the power won't last long, and she soon finds herself holding a mere spark. Roman charges at her and Katya reacts with a shove that knocks him onto the fire, while also causing the entire gondola to sway dangerously. He frees himself from the flames by removing his jacket, and now he is so out of control that he releases one of the bars of the gondola to use as a weapon against Katya. More afraid of him than of falling, she descends down the side and sneaks toward the door while Roman tries to hit her in the head. With great effort, she manages to open the door and close it right behind her, leaving Roman alone on the roof. He tries to invade through the hatch right after, but she hangs on to the straps and prevents him from entering. Such a struggle ends up stressing the structure, and Roman discovers that that bar was very important when a part of the ceiling detaches and he falls down. Katya is also knocked down in the commotion and hits her head on the ground, becoming unconscious right next to the opening below. Kirill is already at the airport, but begins to find it strange that Katya hasn't posted any videos this whole time, and decides to call the hotel. He discovers that none of his friends returned since yesterday, and sees that no one has posted anything anywhere, including about the party in the Heights. Very worried, he gives up the flight and decides to return to the mountain region. Katya has another horrifying nightmare in which Roman manages to return to the gondola and wakes up so cold that she has difficulty unsticking her palm from the ground. The blizzard is coming in through the opening below, but she cannot close it because the hatch broke in the fight between Denny and Roman. All she has left is to bundle up, cover the hole with her skis, and burn her things to stay warm. Her bad luck is such that one of the loose parts of the roof starts banging against the window until it eventually breaks the glass. This not only brings more blizzard inside the gondola, but the wind also rushes in, extinguishing the small fire. Seeing that the cell phone battery is about to die, she records one last video just for Kirill, asking for forgiveness for everything and showing that she is wearing the ring on her finger. She says she wants to marry him and tells him about the baby, changing her mind about that scheduled appointment. At the same time, Kirill is stuck in traffic because of the storm and gives up waiting for the cars to move. The weather only worsens as night falls, and the gondola sways dangerously up high, while Kirill faces the blizzard alone, running toward the mountain. When he arrives there, he sees a snowplow going out and begs the man to help him get up, but he says the storm is too strong. Then he only asks for directions and starts to walk up on foot, leaving the man so shocked that he changes his mind and decides to help him. Katya falls asleep again, but this time it is a good dream, in which she is playing with her daughter and Kirill in a sunny garden. The shock is brutal when she opens her eyes to reality, as in addition to the intense cold, the beams are creaking and showing signs that they will give way at any moment. Determined not to give up on life, she takes the parachute from Kirill's backpack and ties the Christmas lights to it, ready to use it when the time comes. This comes sooner than she imagines, as she is still putting the backpack on when the rest of the front part of the ceiling also detaches. The gondola hangs diagonally, and Katya slides to the other end, hitting hard against the window glass, which soon begins to crack. Vika's inert body also tumbles and hits the extended ladder in the middle, where it gets caught for a few seconds. Then Vika collapses and goes through the glass, while Katya curls up in the corner, escaping by a hair's breadth. Very carefully, she clings as best as she can until she reaches the ladder, and then remembers that the hatch on the ceiling is still stuck. She grabs the fire extinguisher from the wall to force the lid out, risking the gondola's delicate balance with several furious blows. The extinguisher accidentally discharges, throwing Katya against the opposite wall, and the hatch opens. It is precisely at that moment that the front part completely detaches, and the entire gondola suddenly falls, crashing against the mountain and rolling several times. Only now does the Overlook's alarm begin to sound, and Natasha starts screaming on the phone. At the same time, Kirill is jumping from the snowplow and entering through the front door. He arrives just in time to hear Natasha screaming that there has been an accident and that the gondola fell off the cable. In a panic, he interrupts her to ask if the passengers managed to escape, but Natasha responds that no one boarded since the afternoon of December 31. Knowing that this is not true, Kirill rushes down the stairs and is shaken to see Ivan's body lying there, as he was the only one who had seen his friends boarding. Not knowing what to do, he leaves there dazed by the news that he became a widower before even marrying. At the same time, we see that she is still alive, as she managed to cling to the support still attached to the cable, and the gondola fell empty. She struggles to right her body and opens the backpack, releasing the parachute to open it with the wind. All of this has to be done very cautiously, as the support is also shaking violently and Katya could fall with any wrong step. But we see that the effort pays off when Kirill sees something colorful dancing in the sky and runs to save her. With the help of the snowplow, he can clear the gear and start the engine, finally bringing Katya to the platform, where she arrives in shock but still alive.